To appropriately lift an expression from Michael Savage, Trumpism is a mental disease. Here's Jonah Goldberg's lead for his syndicated column today. Trump cares about his celebrity status above all else, and Republicans have shown themselves too susceptible to its pull. I mean, remember what he said in the Pussygate video? You can do anything. Grab them by the genitals. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. That was Donald Trump explaining to Billy Bush of Access Hollywood what it's like when you're a star. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference where they are. And the now infamous hot mic incident 11 years ago. The remarks have been somewhat misunderstood by Trump critics and defenders alike. The defenders want to claim that this was mere locker room talk, as Trump insisted on the debate stage Sunday night. Well, I can report with confidence that men in locker rooms typically don't confess to sexually assaulting married women, much less striking out in the process. Meanwhile, critics want to focus, understandably, on the assault part, but what I think is more revealing is what Trump needs to brag about. Again, he's not boasting about a successful conquest. He's preening about what a star he is, because that's what matters most to Trump, being a star. And not just any star, being the star. All the attention on him. And considering how he's treated the GOP, pretty much like all the women he's groped, he just might be right about what a star can get away with. Now, Trump entered Republican politics the way a celebrity enters a nightclub. He skipped the line. He never put in the time, effort, or thought required to be a presidential candidate. And rather than tell him to hit the bricks, the bouncers lifted the red rope and said, "Have a good time, Mr. Trump," because he was a star, a celebrity. Remember when Republicans just went bananas in frustration with Barack Obama being this global celebrity? John McCain, remember, made that campaign ad about it. He's the world's biggest celebrity. Well, obviously, the tactic and the perception didn't bother Republicans. Just that the other side got to have their own. So the Republican Party wanted their own celebrity, no matter what he believed in or who he was or how much like the other side he was, or the fact that he came and was of the other side didn't matter to them. They just wanted their own celebrity. Created a situation rife for a con man and a demagogue. More than that, Trump was a star of what some would call the entertainment wing. Well, in order to be part of the entertainment wing of the conservative movement, you'd have to be of the conservative movement, which Trump is not. Trump is definitely an entertainer. He had nothing to do with the conservative movement. A wing that has grown so steroidal in recent years that it's become an oversized deformity, forcing the movement to fly in circles. Indeed, despite his near constant whining about how he's been treated unfairly, Trump has mostly benefited from a slew of double standards. His thumbless grasp of public policy, conservative philosophy, religious teachings, English, basic manners would have prevented a normal person from even considering a run. Even his biggest fans concede that he says things that would disqualify a typical candidate, and they think that's a good thing. that it doesn't disqualify him. As the cliche goes, he defies the laws of political gravity. Well, that's because stars don't bend to our gravity, we bend to theirs. It's idolatry. That's what it is. The Democrats worship Barack Obama and Trumplicans worship Donald Trump. And one is not better than the other just because there's a D or an R after their respective names. Now, all of this was obvious over a year ago, but few in the GOP were willing to take on Trump, the entertainers, and their combined audiences until it was too late. Trump's popularity on the alt-right, and it's not the right anymore, the alt-right increased, and with it the need to accommodate the star's demands. The press became catalytic. With every fresh outrage, the need to make allowances became larger and more acute. George Orwell once wrote, "A man may take to drink because he feels himself a failure, but then fail all the more completely because he drinks." So too with political parties. The GOP took to Trump because of its failures and failed all the more because it took to Trump. In August, Goldberg wrote, "Republican candidates at this stage have no excuses to offer if they decide to repudiate Trump other than naked self-interest." Turns out he was wrong. The Grab Them tape was shocking enough that many discovered or rediscovered their integrity, insisting that this transgression was so much worse than all the others. But others waited. Governor Mike "Cuck" Pence went into hiding, searching for bits of his soul like lost change in the couch cushions. If Trump imploded on the debate stage or Hillary Clinton delivered the fatal blow, the decision would have been made for them. Neither happened. Trump gave a strong performance, or at least stronger than the first one, which isn't saying much. Remember, the public perception was that Hillary Clinton won the second debate as well as the first one, so, sorry, Trumplicans. The weight of public opinion runs greatly against you, just like your candidate. But even that, why is that? Well, because he lied relentlessly and vowed that under a President Trump, Hillary Clinton would be in jail, which I'm sure, like I said in my review of that debate, that was red meat, blood-drippingly red meat for his base, which he was trying to shore up, which is most of why he said it. But as far as undecided voters, not so much. And indeed, Trump's base loved it, oblivious to the fact that he needs more than his base in order to win. And once again, conservatives who had made a career of thumping their chests and their Bibles about the importance of character and morality found themselves making excuses for a man who personifies everything they claim to oppose. Jennifer, Doug. It seems the moral arc of many Republicans is short and bends toward idolatry. Such is the gravitational pull of a star, a celebrity. LBJ used to observe, "If you got 'em by the balls, their heart and mind will follow." Turns out he was right. Even if in this case, the anatomical analogy is slightly off. Well, as all of you know, I work off of electionprojection.com to see what the scoreboard is on the 2016 election, presidential and Senate and House, and to a lesser extent gubernatorial races. And currently, as I'm looking at today's election projection numbers, Mrs. Clinton still leads in the Electoral College 351 to 187. And Republicans currently would lose 4 seats, and with Hillary's win in the presidential election, functional control of the gavels in the Senate, while the House, the losses will be limited to 12 seats, and Paul Ryan would retain the big gavel. But the speculation after Pussygate erupted was that, and given that Trump has now fallen behind by twice the margin in the projected popular vote, he's gone from 3 points down to 6 points down in the election projection popular vote number, 50.5% to 44.5%. It's also come out today that not only might Trump lose Utah, but Evan McMullin, the independent conservative candidate that I've talked about from time to time, and that I am going, or for whom I'm going to vote, I'm going to vote on November 8th. He just might carry Utah. It's not going to make any difference as far as, maybe we can throw it into the House of Representatives. What would the House of Representatives do? They'd vote for Trump. But it's not going to get that far. I mean, Hillary Clinton she's got currently, what is that, an 81 electoral vote cushion. And Trump had gotten back to within, I think it was 273 to 265. So he had made up a lot of that ground in September, and then he just pissed it all away. Between the first debate performance and Pussygate, he's just given it all back. And regaining all that ground the second time is much, much more difficult. And plus, he just doesn't have the time. It's under a month now. I mean, what is it? Today is 12th of October, so 19th. The election is 4 weeks from yesterday. So he doesn't have time. And he would need more time to regain all that ground than it took him to regain it the first time. It took him all of September to get back to that point. So he can't win, is the bottom line. And I don't say that with disappointment, and I don't say that with glee, because neither of these candidates deserve to win. Neither of these candidates should win. Both of these candidates should be stopped, and the only way to do that was to not nominate Donald Trump. Because what's happening now is just the see I told you so for the ages, ladies and gentlemen. Or, once again, as Officer Spooner put it,
somehow, I told you so just doesn't quite say it.
But as I've said, I have been of the opinion that Donald Trump was in this race to get Hillary Clinton elected in the first place. I mean, it was part of the latest WikiLeaks dump of Clinton emails and associated hangers-on. And one of those emails said Hillary Clinton is a liar who was totally dependent upon Donald Trump in order to get to the White House, or back to the White House. I mean, it really is that obvious. I mean, look, I talk much about, I've been telling you this from the beginning. Well, I've been telling you this. It's not because I am so brilliant, folks. It really isn't. It's not because I'm so smart. It's just that this stuff is this obvious if you can be objective. And since I have never had a dog in this fight since, over a year ago when Scott Walker dropped out, it's been real easy to be absolutely cold-eyed objective about this whole thing. I mean, a lot of people, like my friends Doug Gibbs and Jennifer Crawford, they're voting for Trump because they have contracted Hillary phobia. It's a personal vendetta for them. They just loathe Hillary. Hey, you got to stop Hillary. Well, great. Don't nominate Trump. Because once Trump was nominated, stopping Hillary became impossible. I mean, just as Hillary Clinton could not have beaten any actual Republicans, so she cannot lose to Donald Trump. I'm not saying, oh no, she just can't lose. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's not possible. It isn't possible. And so my thought from the beginning has been that Donald Trump has been in this race to screw the GOP, to lead the GOP, stampede them off a cliff, and pave the way for a Hillary Clinton return to the Oval Office in her own right. But apparently, Trump is not satisfied with just screwing the GOP out of getting the White House back. He wants to turn the Congress, both houses, back to the Democrats as well. I don't know any other conclusion to draw, as Ben Shapiro writes today. But I mean, it seems pretty clear that for Donald Trump, it's better that Democrats control Congress than Republicans who dare criticize him. Besides, even if Republicans do control Congress, President Trump would bypass them anyway and just negotiate with the minority leaders, Schumer and Pelosi. He'd cut the Republicans completely out of the process. All a President Trump would do is make deals with Democrats, and you all know it. But how much the better if Republicans are just shut out of everything altogether. Go all the way back to 2009. That appears to be what Donald Trump is trying to accomplish. For the entirety of the general election cycle, we've heard Donald Trump and his supporters claim that conservatives have no choice but to support him. Well, bullshit. After all, Trump said he would appoint a fifth conservative justice to the Supreme Court. Never mind that he would really appoint his partial birth abortion zealot sister, Marianne Trump Berry, which he's said many times will be a fantastic Supreme Court justice. And she is on the Second Circuit Court of Appeals just down the road in Philadelphia. So there you go. Trump said he'd build a wall. Never mind that he conditioned it on Mexico and forcing Mexico to pay for it, and Mexico has already said, no, we're not paying for it. That's his out. That's his excuse. Remember, he didn't just promise to build a wall, and remember the historical analogy to the Maginot Line, the wall between France and Germany, and how did that do for keeping the Wehrmacht from conquering France in June of 1940? Not very damn well. But remember, he said he was going to build a wall and make Mexico pay for it. So if Mexico doesn't pay for it, well, I guess you can't build a wall. That's his out, Trumplicans. If you'd only been listening. Trump defenders continually beat the drums on this. Sure, you might not be able to trust Trump, but you could trust Hillary to do the wrong thing on such issues. That made somehow Trump the safer bet? Listen to that argument again, Trumplicans. Oh, never mind. You're the ones making it. Even Doug Gibbs makes this argument. Well, we probably can't trust Trump, but we know that Hillary's the devil, so blah! It's like they want to be fooled. It's like they want to be swindled. It's like they want to be screwed. I mean, these are people who didn't trust actual Republicans, but now they're going to trust a liberal Democrat New York con man? I mean, this is why I've lost respect for all these people. And I'm not just talking about, I mean, Hugh Hewitt is admitted after Pussygate, he's gone back to, he's a recovering Trumplican now, and Ben Carson has shown signs of being on the mend in that regard as well, from the mental illness that is branch Trumpidianism. But I mean, Well, I don't know what the status is. Estranged ex-friend Douglas V gives, who knows? Um, I've lost all respect for him. I mean, I saw what he posted on politicalpistachio.com. He didn't post anything for 2 or 3 days, and then he posted basically that, well, that's just locker room talk. All guys do that. Doug, if you're watching this, I have lost all respect for you. And my friend Jennifer Crawford, 20 plus years on the staff of Republican Forum together back during the Clinton years. And I have, over the past few days, I have been painstakingly pointing out to her the error of her support of Trump. That if you're supporting Trump, it's no different than supporting Bill Clinton back in the day. No different than supporting Barack Obama for the past 8 years. Trump is Obama. Trump is Bill Clinton. Trump is Hillary Clinton. Supporting Trump, a candidate who can't win, is the only one that could enable and guarantee Hillary's victory, is therefore akin to supporting Hillary. And she just says, I'm tired of trying to explain it. Well, you can't explain it, Jennifer, because you can't. There is no explanation. Because if you were to think about it, you would come to and it's not just my point of view, the correct point of view. It's not correct because I believe it and assert it. I believe it and assert it because it's correct. If you could just be objective, remember what it is that you claim to stand for all these years, you would do as Hugh Hewitt has done. You would do as Ben Carson is just starting to do. You would abandon Donald Trump. You would vote against both of them. Especially because in Doug's case, Hillary Clinton's going to carry California by 2.4 million votes, so he's not accomplishing a damn thing by throwing away his principles. And, Indiana's swing state, so maybe Jen has rationalized, well, I got to keep Hillary from winning Indiana. And what, running up the score more? I mean, come on. It's in a previous video from Monday or yesterday. Go watch it. Watch them all. Subscribe, like, share. This message really needs to get far and wide. At any rate, on Sunday and Monday, the Trump team itself utterly destroyed this argument, this lesser of two evils so-called argument. Now, we know Trump doesn't give one leaf off the fig tree about conservatism because he doesn't care one iota about whether Republicans carry the Senate or the House. In order for Trump to implement anything remotely approaching a serious conservative agenda, even if he was inclined to do so, and he most certainly is not, he would have to have a significant Republican majority in both houses of Congress. So even if Trump was going to even if he intended to make your dreams come true, well, he can't legally and constitutionally do it without Republicans in control of both houses of Congress. I mean, no Republican Senate majority, no Scalia-like justice. No House majority, no wall. But then I will guarantee you what Trumplicans are going to say in response. Some of them will. Others might might retain some minimum level of discretion to be able to avoid committing further ideological seppuku. But some of them would say, well, President Trump will just do it by executive order, just like Barack Obama did. Boy, that'd be poetic justice, wouldn't it? Oh, so you weren't opposed to Barack Obama going around the Constitution, feeding the Constitution through a shredder, just blatantly ignoring Article 1, Section 1. You want to know what Article 1, Section 1 says again? As a review, here it is. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, not the president. The president doesn't get to make law. But you didn't, apparently Trumplicans, a lot of ex-Tea Partiers, ideological purists, supposedly committed to constitutional originalism, apparently you didn't really care about Article 1, Section 1. You didn't really care about the Constitution. All you cared about was that a Democrat was doing it. But you think it's perfectly okay if Donald Trump does the exact same thing in order to give you your heart's desires, even if he was inclined to actually do so, which he's not. This is why I have no more respect for Douglas V. Gibbs. I'll guarantee you, if you asked Douglas V. Gibbs, if you asked him about this, he would say one of two things. Well, he'll have good people around him that will talk him out of being a despot. And we've seen in this campaign what a pipe dream that is. Or he would say, well, if that's what we got to do to restore the republic, then that's what we got to do. We got to fight fire with fire. So who cares? Throw away the Constitution. The Constitution is just getting in the way. I mean, isn't that what all this is? The emotion, just the right getting so frustrated with Barack Obama's election and then re-election and seeing him just run roughshod over the Constitution. Well, we got to do the same thing to win with a candidate that is not one of us and won't do any of the things we want him to do. He'll use, I guarantee you, Trump would, if anybody could be more of a despot, more of a dictator than Barack Obama, it's Donald Trump. But he wouldn't do it for the things that you people think he would. He would expand Barack Obama's welfare state. He would expand everything that Barack Obama has done over the past 8 years. You people are just so... It's like you've gouged out your own eyeballs. You know, you look like Neo in Matrix Revolutions. After Agent Smith gouges out his eyes, both his eyes with a power line or something, a live power line. Just, he can't see all this. He doesn't have eyes left. It's just big red pulpy messes in his eye sockets. You're just like that. You don't want to see. That's what's so frustrating to me. There's so many people that I believed in, so many people I respected have just totally thrown it aside. Just totally gave up. Totally given up, totally just defected, and they don't even realize it. Now, Trump knows all this, folks. Trump knows it all. But he's now initiated a full-scale war against actual Republican candidates simply to gratify his ego, blistered from a lifetime of emotional masturbation, and, of course, to get more Democrats elected, which is his true motivation. He's less interested in he's not interested in governing as a conservative. He's interested in grabbing dissenting Republicans by the pussy, since none of them have any balls, right? This past weekend, after Republicans began deserting Trump in droves, or at least pretending to, in order to contain the stand-like political infection he's unleashed, Trump began actively undermining Republican chances in Congress. First, he tweeted, quote, "So many self-righteous hypocrites." Look who's talking there, pal. "Watch their poll numbers and elections go down." like he still has any kind of influence? I mean, doesn't Pussygate kind of really diminished his influence, even in the GOP? Again, when you can be objective, you can stop and ask yourself these questions. And of course, way too few Republicans are actually doing that. I mean, this was an open call to Trump supporters, or what's left of them, to unleash their wrath against vulnerable Republicans in tight races to get Democrats elected, in other words. Hey, you people are the ones who say, oh, it's a binary choice. It's him or her. Well, isn't that kind of the case with the two-party system at every level? I mean, I don't know. President Hillary in a Democrat Congress, or President Trump in a Democrat Congress? It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, really. Next, Trump's campaign. Oh, and plus, you got to know. You know how Trump has been saying, well, these stupid people in Washington, they don't know what they're doing. They need somebody like me. I know what I'm doing. And I can just picture the Washington cartel and Ted Cruz's one-time depiction, chewing Trump out and spitting him out. I just really, yeah, we need people who know what they're doing. So let's nominate a guy who's never done it. Yeah, that's a plan. Next, Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, appeared on MSNBC where she threatened to out unnamed non-Trumpian or Trumpidian or Trumpoid, whatever, members of Congress as sexual abusers or slander them wholesale. Here's what she said. Here's the quote. I would talk to some of the members of Congress there when I was younger and prettier, then rubbing against girls, sticking their tongues down women's throats who were uninvited, didn't like it. She never mentioned any of this before? At the time? Really? Find that difficult to believe. You know it's true. Well, no, I really don't know that it's true, Miss Conway. And some of them, by the way, are on the list of people who won't support Donald Trump because they all ride around on their high horse. What, they actually stand for something? Remember when you used to stand for something, Miss Conway? I mean, that's not to say that she might not be telling the truth about one or more of them, or a few of them, but see, the problem with that, and let's not forget, you're comparing it, and this is in the context of Pussygate. Donald Trump was bragging on a hot mic about molesting women. That's what he was doing. And this is one of those things where if there's smoke, i.e. the boasting, there's fire. He did these things. He bragged about it in ghost-written books, for crying out loud. He's not just making things up about grabbing women by the pussy. I'm sure he's done it. He's bragged about it. This was bragging. He wasn't saying, boy, I'd like to get my hands on her. No, he said, I've done it. That's the context. I mean, maybe if some or a few members of Congress who are bailing on Trump now, maybe they've done the same thing. How many times? Who knows? I mean, you remember Mark Foley back in the day, 10 years ago. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible or not conceivable. But what about all the ones who never have? I mean, Conway is talking in a very broad way here, no pun intended. Very broad brush he's painting with. Sounds to me like she wouldn't be too concerned about who she was actually factually outing and who she was just smearing to paint with that broad brush. And isn't that very Democrat? Isn't that a very Democrat tactic? I mean, remember what was done to Clarence Thomas back in the day, 26 years ago? Smearing him as a sexual predator? And it was not true. It was a blatant, slanderous, libelous lie. But Democrats had an objective: keep a black conservative off the Supreme Court. So the fact that it was a lie didn't matter to them. Doesn't seem to matter to Kellyanne Conway now. Maybe one time it might have before she was corrupted, before she came down with Trumpism, the mental disease. And then Trump went after Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, as we discussed the other day in a recent video, directly. Ryan had the temerity to say on a conference call that he'll still be voting for Trump. By the way, that's the temerity. But that he wouldn't defend him or campaign with him. Well, if you're not going to defend him or campaign with him, why are you still voting for him? If you're still voting for him, then everything else you say has no moral authority. If you don't back up your rhetorical condemnation with actual actions, then your words are empty and meaningless and nobody has any reason to listen to you. If Paul Ryan were going to be a leader, in other words, he would have told his members, I'm not voting for Donald Trump and neither should any of you. But he didn't do that. So his words are, just blah blah wah 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 wah. And even then, I mean, Ryan said, I'm still voting for Trump. Apparently that wasn't enough for Trump. It's not enough that you bow the knee. You got to stick your tongue right up his fat ass. So Trump tweeted, Paul Ryan should spend more time on balancing the budget, jobs, and illegal immigration and not waste his time fighting Republican nominee. Well, why doesn't the so-called Republican nominee stop fighting Paul Ryan? Why doesn't the Republican nominee stop putting the entire party in jeopardy? And it isn't even really all on Trump because they voluntarily bowed the knee. They bought this shit sandwich that they're now having to eat. So I don't have any respect for these people and I don't have any sympathy for them. They knew. They have no excuse for not having known that Pussygate or something like it was coming. Donald Trump was the most well-known public figure, one of them in the country, has been for decades. Everybody knew what Donald Trump was. Everybody. How can you not? I mean, he hasn't been in politics. He's kind of danced around the edges of it, dabbled in it a little bit. But Trump has spent the past 30, 40 years just being a celebrity. He hasn't been in politics, per se. He's never actually jumped into a race. He's always teased it. He's always said, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. And then he just endorses somebody. But he's never actually run for office. So how do you not know what Donald Trump is? How do you not know that stuff like this Pussygate video, grab him by the pussy, how do you not know that stuff's out there? I mean, whatever happened to the concept of vetting? The left absolutely would not vet Barack Obama 8 years ago. Those of us on the right were saying, but he's a communist. Look, he's got a communist background. He was raised by communists. He was inculcated by communists. And he was spent time in Indonesia, so he had a Muslim aspect to his background as well. And he, all these things, nobody would vet him. We on the right were crying out. We were shouting. We were, come on, vet him. Pay attention. Nobody did. Nobody wanted to. People were stampeded into voting for Barack Obama by the panic of 2008. And because, well, first black president, I'm a good person. I voted for the first black president. Whatever. I mean, nobody wanted to pay attention. It was just mass psychosis. And the same thing is true of Donald Trump and the Republican nomination in 2016. Nobody wanted to pay attention. Nobody wanted to acknowledge what Donald Trump is, what Donald Trump was going to bring down on the party in a general campaign, going up against La Clinton Nostra, the dirtiest players in the game. How do you, with all those things in place, knowing that Donald Trump is as big or bigger a sexual predator than Bill Clinton, knowing La Clinton Nostra, that they're the dirtiest players in the game, how do you not know that something like Pussygate is coming? How do you not know that there is going to be an October surprise like that? How do you not know? And then how can you turn around and use every single one of the excuses that the left used for Bill Clinton 20 years ago to excuse and defend Donald Trump? How can Jeff Sessions and Blake Farenthold, just to give two examples, actually say on camera, on national TV, well, I don't know if grabbing a woman by the pussy is sexual assault? How can my friend or former friend or whatever the status is, Douglas B. Gibbs, actually echo Trump campaign talking points about, well, this is just locker room talk. Every guy says that stuff. In fact, if you've never said that, then you're gay. Is that what the right considers manhood and masculinity to be? Really? So we're all Bill Clinton now, or supposed to be. Is that what it is? I thought that there was a distinction between principles and party, and that the idea was to bring the party as much into line with the principles as humanly possible, consistent with winning elections. It's like, why? Nobody can tell me, and my friend Jennifer Crawford couldn't either. Nobody can tell me, can provide a convincing, substantive answer for voting for Donald Trump. And we gotta stop Hillary is not an answer. That's why you're voting against her. I get that. Guess what? I'm voting against her as well. I'm voting for Evan McMullin. But why are you people voting for Trump? Because voting against Hillary is not a reason. That's not voting for Trump. That's voting against Hillary. I know why you're voting against Hillary. That's easy. That's real easy. We've had 25 years of knowing why to vote against Hillary Clinton. Why are you voting for Trump? That's what you people, that's what you conservatives will not come to grips with, because if you did, you would realize you cannot, in good conscience, cast a vote for Donald Trump. And look at what he's doing. He's trying to get the Democrats back in control of Congress. He's trying to get Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, the big gavels back. I mean, Tim Kaine is already going to be president of the Senate. But you want to get Chuck Schumer riding shotgun. You want to have crazy Nancy Pelosi with the big gavel again. Why? It didn't stop there. Trump's campaign spokeswoman, the effervescently excrescent, that's a great, oh, that's a great bit of alliteration there. Effervescently excrescent. You know, the adjectival version of excrement. Katrina Pearson, she tweeted, quote, "I can't keep my phone charged due to the massive volume of texts from people all over the country who will vote Trump, but down ballot not so much." Oh, really? That sounds to me like something she wants to see rather than something that she's actually seeing. Besides, if she was, I mean, what volume of texts would that be? 1,000, 10,000? Wouldn't that be? Is that really enough to from all over the country? Just a few thousand? I can see how that would drain her phone, but that's not really saying anything. When you actually objectively stop and think through what she's claiming, it's really not saying anything at all, is it? She then tried to walk that back, but it was too late. Meanwhile, Trump's Virginia campaign chair, Corey Stewart, organized a protest outside the Republican National Committee. Oh, and there are still people who laugh about the concept of GOP civil war. Yeah. Corey Stewart organized a protest outside RNC headquarters the other day, at which one attendee waved a sign reading, and I quote, "Better to grab a pussy than to be one." Oh, sounds like a great line, doesn't it? But it doesn't really say anything. I mean, who is the bigger pussy? The one who bends the knee to Trump or the one who stands against him? There are far more of the former than there are of the latter, right, Trumplicans? Yet somehow it's going to be our fault when Trump loses in a extinction level event, electorally speaking. And amazingly enough, that was a little much for even the Trump campaign, who promptly fired him. Oh, but I don't know why. I mean, he's not saying anything that Trumplicans don't believe or saying themselves. I mean, the message is abundantly clear here. Oppose Trump and he'll attempt to burn you to the ground, just like his own campaign. Especially if it means handing control of Congress over to the Democrats. That's what he's trying to do, folks. Which by all indicators, it does mean that. Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet at election projection. As soon as I do, I will let you know. I'm updating. Every time there's a projected electoral college change, I post it on my Facebook feed, so I'll let you know if that happens. I mean, Trump is getting blown out in historic fashion, according to virtually all the polls. Yes, Michael Cohen, all of them. There are those of us who have said all along that a Trump candidacy and attempts to defend it would do serious damage to the Republican Party's prospects for the foreseeable future. In other words, its brand. But all conservatives and Republicans have agreed, at the very least, that Republicans must maintain control of Congress to check Hillary or Trump. But Trump is ensuring that his political collapse hands total power over to Mrs. Clinton. I thought you people were of the opinion, of the mind, of the obsession that Hillary had to be stopped, whatever it takes. Doesn't look like your candidate is doing that. He seems to be doing diametrically the opposite. As Robert Costa of the Washington Post reported, quote, Trump circle gloating, privately mocking elected Republicans who were agonizing. One laughed and said, "We don't care." And it's true. They don't. Because they are of the enemy. Because they are de facto Democrats. Because Trump has hostilely taken over the Republican Party on behalf of La Clinton Nostra and made it a wholly owned subsidiary of the Democrat Party. And you people have so emotionally invested in your own swindling, being swindled by Trump, that you can't let yourselves realize it, objectively look at the situation and admit how badly you have screwed up, how badly you have screwed yourselves. I mean, there is a reason why they call it fratricide, friendly fire. This is the ultimate expression of it. They don't care. I've said this countless times. I continue to say it. Here's Ben Shapiro saying it, word for word. It's true, they don't care. They never cared. Not about stopping Hillary. Trumpism, Trump mania was never about stopping Hillary Clinton. It was never about the 2016 election. It was always about burning down the Republican Party. Well, congratulations, you've succeeded. Mission accomplished. It's never about stopping Hillary, never about promoting conservatism. Trump himself said months ago, back in the summer, he wouldn't be too upset if Republicans lost the Senate, because guess what? Then he'd be free to cut deals with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Sounds like he can't wait to do that for Democrat priorities, for a Democrat agenda, for Hillary Clinton's agenda. God almighty, Trumplicans, Trump supporters, connect the bloody dots. Trump has elected Hillary Clinton. It's over. Unless she has a stroke, unless she just drops dead, it's over. There's not enough time. Even if Trump could come back, there's not enough time to do it. It took him all of September to almost get back to even in the Electoral College. Now all that's gone in the space of 2 weeks. It's over. And now he's trying to take the Republican majorities in Congress down with him. How can you not recognize what Donald Trump has done to this party, has been doing to this party for over a year, and now we are on the cusp of the end game? And who are you people going to blame when we're looking at President Hillary, Majority Leader Schumer, Speaker Pelosi, if it gets that bad? Who are you going to blame? Are you going to look in the mirror? Are you going to blame your hero, the ones who are responsible for such a disaster? Or will you scapegoat and point the finger everywhere else but where it belongs? Just like Democrats do. Trump's a lifelong Democrat donor, including to Mrs. Clinton. The great irony of Trump's candidacy is that his most ardent boosters see Hillary as an existential crisis, but Trump himself doesn't think she's that dangerous and never did. She's his friend. He thinks she did a great job as Secretary of State. Everything he's saying against her now, it is a work. It is a lie. It is a fraud. This cycle, the 2016 cycle, is the biggest work in American political history. Almost an entire political party has been hoodwinked into totally working against its own interests in order to get the woman that they fear pathologically more than anybody else elected president, and a party majorities of her party elected in place of our majorities. I mean, I thought the Democrat financial logic bomb that got Barack Obama and Democrat supermajorities elected in 2008 was the top. That was the absolute max, that you couldn't get a bigger operation, a bigger psyop than that. Guess I was wrong. It's one thing to fool voters into committing political suicide, national suicide. It's another to get the supposed party of the right to do everything in its power to get the woman they fear the most elected president of the United States, with majorities of her party in control. Trumplicans, you have been pushing for this nightmare scenario from day one, while claiming you were doing the opposite, and you didn't even know. I mean, goddamn almighty. The Republican Party has been called the stupid party for years. Well, they had no idea, did they? Either that or you just all sold out, so you might as well admit it. Yeah, Jennifer, you're a liberal Democrat. Yeah, Doug, you're an anti-constitutional and Constitution-hating liberal Democrat. And you don't even realize it. Or maybe you do. So with Trump going down, why don't his supporters abandon him to save the resistance to Hillary? Yeah, we don't even have to. I mean, that question is so rhetorical, it doesn't even bear repeating. But Ben Shapiro does get into it. He does his due diligence. He gives two reasons. First, they've been told that Trump still has a fighting chance if everyone just pulls their oars. In other words, the Never Trump needs to get on board the Trump train!
Come on! Nice and easy! Don't look down! That's it! You're doing fine!
Argument. Talk radio hosts on Monday spent the day lauding Trump for a strong debate performance, ignoring the poll numbers showing that Trump not only lost the debate in the public perception, but in free fall overall, and Congress now up for grabs. Although, again, I haven't seen it manifested yet at election projection. I will keep you posted. Now that Trump is finally attacking Hillary, and by the way, didn't I point that out in my review of the first debate? Why didn't Trump talk about any of Hillary Clinton's vulnerabilities? It's almost like he was trying to protect her and her lead. Now that Trump is finally attacking Hillary, conservative media figures say, we can finally win this thing. All that's required is for those stubborn never-Trumpers to jump aboard, and we can still pull it out. This, to put it mildly, is patent nonsense. The Trump-Hindenburg, the Trumpenberg, is already on fire, and adding passengers isn't going to slow the conflagration. It's just going to ensure more destruction. But that's okay, according to many Trump supporters. That's because they've also been told that congressional Republicans are irrelevant when it comes to stymieing Democrats. So the only reason congressional Republicans must be abandoning Trump is out of some sort of bizarre sympathy for the Hillary agenda, even though it's Trump who has that sympathy in reality. For Trump, therefore, the party might as well be burned to the ground. After all, it wasn't worth much to him anyway, and that was his mission. This is the perspective of key members of the Trump campaign, including Steve Bannon, who once told Ronald Radosh, quote, "I want to bring everything crashing down and destroy all of today's establishment," that same establishment that is Donald Trump's personal gerbil herd. Remember, Ryan's voting for Trump. He hasn't withdrawn his endorsement. According to Radosh, this included the Republican Party and the traditional conservative media. You hear that, Rush? You hear that, Hannity? You hear that, Ingram? You hear that, Savage? Trump wants to take you people out too. You know that Trump TV after the election we've been hearing about? Well, there you go. You're looking at your competition. This mentality has bled down to some Republican thought, heavily in quotes, leaders, who maintain that a Congress run by Paul Ryan is no better than one run by Nancy Pelosi? Screw you. Screw you. Coming from the people who have sold out to a New York liberal con man, that is just rich. You know? My perhaps still maybe ex-friend Douglas V. Gibbs for years saying, well, those cockroaches in Washington, you send them back there and they move to the left. And now, so has Douglas V. Gibbs moved to the left by supporting Trump. Donald Trump is destroying the Republican Party root, branch, roof, walls, foundation. There will be nothing left of the Republican Party. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton in the White House. Tell me again how this is about stopping Hillary? I don't know. I could just start cursing again, but I do too much of that already in these videos. So if Ryan and Republican representatives supporting Trump increases Trump's shot of winning by 5%, it doesn't, but maybe 0.5%, but decreases Republicans' shot of maintaining Congress by 40%, that's a good trade-off? Sounds to me a lot more like they're trying to screw the Republicans out of Congress as well as the White House than trying to get Trump elected. One thing it definitely is historically ignorant. I mean, Republicans in Congress haven't done enough to stonewall Barack Obama. Nobody's going to argue that. But as I said on many an occasion, if nothing else, Republican majorities take up space that Democrats can't, that Democrats aren't. If Democrats are not in the majorities, they can't push their agenda forward constitutionally anyway. If they're in charge, God almighty, look what happened in 2009, 2010. They haven't been able to push their agenda forward legally, constitutionally, through Congress. Why do you think Barack Obama has whipped out his pen and his phone and his putter on so many occasions? I mean, when Democrats ran Congress, they rammed through Obamacare on simple party lines without a single Republican vote, I might remind you people. They blew out the budget. They rammed through a massive stimulus package. They rammed through A Dodd-Frank, the fascization of the financial sector. Well, actually, Obama imposed a cap and trade by executive order, but they approved two wildly leftist Supreme Court justices, Sonia Sotomayor and Elena Blubber-Stopheles Kagan. Republicans haven't been a picnic, but they've done a hell of a lot better than that. It is better for Republicans to be in the majority just by the fact of their taking up space that Democrats aren't. But none of that matters to Trump or his supporters. Because Trumplicans, Trump supporters, were never conservatives, were never constitutional originalists in the first place. And now they've given up. It's all about the tribe to them. They don't care about conservatism. They don't care about principles. They don't care about limited government. They don't care about the Constitution. They just want, this is just the Hatfields and the McCoys to them. You know the Hatfield and McCoy feud? And after a while, they'd been fighting each other so long that neither side remembered why they were fighting in the first place. Just that, well, I'm a Hatfield, so I hate the McCoys. Or I'm a McCoy, so I hate the Hatfields. You know why you hate them? No, who knows? I don't know. It's before my time. I just know I hate them. But the left has not forgotten their agenda. They haven't forgotten what they believe in. But the right has certainly forgotten. Or the alt-right now, I guess it is. And for Trump, it's always about himself. All is and always has been Trump uber alles. Dissent, disagreement with him, criticism of him is treason as far as he's concerned. And I want you to think about that, Trumplicans. I want you to think about that long and hard. You know how the left has been trying to repeal the First Amendment. You know how the left is implementing thought policing, speech codes, thought codes. And now along comes Donald Trump, your hero. And he wants to redefine treason as meaning criticism of him. So much for the First Amendment. Remember, he's going to open up all the libel laws and go after anybody who criticizes him? Really? Are you all going to join Trump's secret police force, Trumplicans? Nobody criticizes dear leader and gets away with it. This isn't making America great again. This isn't even America, period. Yeah, that's going to be a problem when Trump beats Republicans into submission just long enough for them to hand over total power to Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. Kind of redefines or puts a more sobering context around the concept of lesser of two evils. Are you sure that description fits Trump?